Welcome, everybody, to our first segment talking about the lore of the peoples of Master's Tale. This is going to be a set of videos coming out that will talk about how we put together our characters, how we put together our lands, and how it's going to ultimately affect gameplay. So without further ado, here's number 1 for the humans. The Story of the Humans, Part 1. Uniting the Five Lords. It was a time of raids. It was a time of diplomacy. It was the time of man. And soon, it was the time of war. The Crusades of the Red Corps. In the 617th year of our Lord, Courtial forces dominated the far reaches of the plains to the four seas to the south. Lords made trade deals with the dwarves, and the 7 human kingdoms rose flags up above the mists of the northern mountains. It was this time of expansion that found the orcs in the crosshairs of the southern lords of Mor. 5 lords ruled over 330 miles of land along the northern coast of Adia, the largest of the 4 seas. Here orcs made raids from across the ocean, claiming loot and fleeing back to an archipelago uncharted by the Courtial Empire. But this would end abruptly. Grand Lord Charles VIII gathered a crusade known as the Red Corps. 3 years hammer struck steel, men trained, and vessels prepared for voyage. In the 620th year of our Lord, sails unfurled over the southern ports, and 130 ships bearing 4,000 men set sail to find the origins of the orcish hordes. Dozens of ships landed amongst the archipelago, driving swords and fire into the hidden loot den of the orcs. Very few orcs died in the raids, however, for they fled with what they could carry when they saw the red sails on the horizon. And even with hundreds of pounds of gold returning to the Five Lords' kingdom, Charles VIII was unsatisfied. He ordered his men reload and return to the seas, but this time he'd send a group to conquer the orcs. Thus Charles gathered the 5 lords to appoint grand generals to lead the forces south. Each of the kings came from the furthest ends of their kingdoms. King Ronald from the east, Count Ahaz from the coast, Lord John Thomas from the northern holdings, and Lord Timothy from the central cities. They gathered at the southern ports and christened the 5 leaders to the Second Red Corps Crusade. Thanks everyone for listening to part 1 of The Human's Tale. Join us next time when holy warriors itched for battle, only to arrive on the wrong coast.